Well, good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, March 22nd. Beautiful day here in sunny Southern California. Let's see here. We've got, all right, we're piling in here. So if you, whatever platform you're on, send me a note, message in the chat. Let me know where you're located so I can say good morning. Let's see. Hey, Gen X Holtz is here. Good morning, Gen X. I'm glad you could make it. Let's see. If you're over on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, or X, give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button and let us know where you are located so we can say good morning. All right, we got a bunch of people piling in here. So let's see if let's see. Hey, Sheila, good morning from Hilton Head Island. Our Jeff Coat is here. Good morning, Jeff. Our Jeff Coat. Marie is from Tennessee. Hey, Valerie James is here. Good morning, Valerie. Glad you could make it. We have Batten Ballin. Good morning from Dave from Milwaukee. Good morning, Dave. Glad you could make it. We have Roland Johnston from Wyoming. Welcome. Hokey Gigi is here. Good morning. Dino is here from Arizona. Great. All right, we are waiting for Alex and Dave and possibly Adam to join us. So, hey, Wendy's here. Good morning, Wendy. Glad you could make it. Josh Cassidy is here. Welcome, Josh. 6U is here. Welcome. 6U in the house. We have Curtis Clapp from Cape Coral, Florida. Welcome, Benny from Ohio. Welcome, Violet. Good morning, Violet. Glad you could make it. Let's see here. We've got, thank you for the heart meets, Violet. So, all right, well, let's get this party started. Hey, Spirit Rider is here. Good morning, Spirit Rider. Glad you could make it. Knit Mom from Virginia. Welcome. Christy B, one of our subscribers, is here. Hey, Christy, glad you could make it. Let's see. We've got James here. It looks like, yes, we do have James. Hey, James, good morning. Let me see if I can get you loaded up here. Let's see here. And I think we have Alex coming on.
Good morning.
The man, the myth, the legend, Alex is here.
Are you on the restream today, Sam?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, it hasn't popped on X yet, so my mom wants to tune into the show this morning.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Good morning, Mom. How are you?
Well, I haven't got it up for her yet because I'm waiting for the iPad to connect to X.
So. Well, it should be on X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, all of them.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have Selma Pimentel from Florida. Welcome, Selma. Good. Gen X Holt says, good morning, Alex. Our Jeff Coach said Alex is in the house. Good morning, Terry. Glad you could make it. We have Penny is here. Hi, Penny, over on YouTube. All right. Hey, James.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
He's in his truck sporting the Cummins hat. Let's go.
Yeah, he's not playing around today. Minnesota. Look out.
Yeah, sure. You betcha.
Hey, Alex, you know your video's not on, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. So Mercedes is here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Good morning, Mercedes. Carrie is here.
2 hours north.
Okay, great. Good morning, Carrie. Amber Broadway is here over on YouTube. Slungus is here over on YouTube. All right, well, we're getting piled in here as we get warmed up for a Saturday morning. James, how's your morning going so far?
You know, it's just perfect day up here. It's partly cloudy, about 30 degrees, so it's a little crisp, but it's going to be a good day.
Excellent. Wonderful. I'm glad you're here. So, Alex, any major updates this morning?
Well, I mean, man, I got to behave. Two of our most favorite particular ladies have had their security clearance yanked. I think that's pretty good news, man.
Absolutely.
Are we
Absolutely it is.
Are we sending a message?
I think we are. Hey, good morning, Adam.
Good morning. How we doing, gentlemen?
We are doing well. How about yourself?
Excellent. It's a bright, cloudy, sunny morning here in good old Salt Lake.
There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Hey, everybody on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. Let's get a bunch of people piled in here. If you would like to contribute to our daily goal of what do we have today? Dolphins. That would be wonderful. Also, you can sign up for a subscription on TikTok. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of fun things with our subscribers over the next, as soon as we hit 100 subscribers. So I would encourage you to do that. All righty. So we have Violet sent a heart me. We have our Jeff Coates sent a dolphin. Thank you, Jeff. PJ Party is here. Good morning, PJ Party. Carrie just sent a hat. Thank you, Carrie. James Perrine from Kansas. Michael Wilson. Good morning, Michael. And Mary Lise Brown is here. Good morning, Mary Lise. Josh just sent some team bracelets. Thanks, Josh. So, Adam, anything major going on with you today?
Actually, today me and my wife don't have kids this weekend, so after the live, we're going to probably take off and do whatever. We don't know just yet.
Oh, good for you.
It's one of those enjoy the weekends.
Exactly. All righty. Well, let's see here. Let's dig into some update. Alex, are you? Did you find it on X? Oh, maybe Alex isn't there. Natalie Yanine is here on YouTube. Welcome, Natalie. So first up, you guys, U.S. Digital Assets Executive Director said that selling gold is a budget-neutral way to buy Bitcoin. Are they signaling that we are going to have more Bitcoin added to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? What do you think? There he is.
Mom's listening in.
Well, hello, Mom. Good morning.
I think they're absolutely signaling something. It's going to be very interesting, especially after our conversation with our Canadian friend. It opens the door to a lot of questions about how this transition is going to happen, and I think that there's been little nuggets drop as to what we can expect to see soon.
Right. I think you're right.
Advice, just our opinion, folks.
Right. Hey, Don the Third G, one of our subscribers is here. Choose Your Poison is here. Good morning, Choose Your Poison. Violet Airshoe in Tucson, Arizona. Choose Your Poison. Thank you for the dolphin. It's appreciated. Chris Romano says, hello, Mom. Wendy said, hi, Alex's mom. Valerie James said, hi, Alex's mom. Boy, she's a popular person today.
She's an internet superstar.
Tanya Moonsheimer said, good morning. Good morning, Tanya. So I think we're seeing some signal with Bitcoin. I think we're seeing some signal. Where are we at this morning, Alex, with Bitcoin, XRP? What's it looking like?
Everything's up. Not quite 1%. It's pretty much holding steady. I don't think the dam's going to break open for a little while, but we're not seeing any major dips. We're not seeing any major rises. Gold price is sitting at 3,041 this morning.
You put the blue in it.
What's that, Adam?
Sorry, hang on.
Okay.
Gold's holding steady at over $3,000 an ounce at 3,041. Crude oil this morning at 68, which is up 0.21%. I think it's going to be just a kind of steady cruise along kind of time for. I expect a couple of months of this, and I think, personal opinion, not financial advice, I think before we really start to take off in the markets, we've watched the steady incline on gold, but I think we're going to see a pretty hard dip across everything right before it goes ballistic.
Well, I think when we had Simon on, he was convinced that we're going to have a major correction in the stock market. Now, the question is that correction in the stock market going to increase the crypto holdings, or is it going to decrease them? I think that's the real question at this point. So, we got Dave here. Hold on one second here.
Good morning, Janet.
So the question I had, Alex, is when we see this dip in the stock market, are we going to see the dip in the crypto market?
You have people like, Jamie Dimon and those that are holding exorbitant amounts, right? And I think that we know that crypto's secure, but it's not 100%, in my opinion, unmanipulatable, right? Like if you've got whales coming in and either buying or selling, it's going to affect the prices because it's volume, right? So I think we'll see a really high volume dip, probably coincide with the crash of the stock market, and I think that's indicative of people dumping, and then you'll see the flip side to that, which is everybody buying the dip, and that buyback in the dip is what's gonna set the trajectory for probably a pretty good run.
Yeah, Adam,
when that's gonna happen, I don't have a crystal ball. I couldn't tell you, but it's coming.
Right. Adam, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I gotta apologize. I was making sure that my wife was bringing me my vitamin drink with my methyl blue in it, because let me tell you something. I'm noticing a huge difference, and I'm going on week 1 here, guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've kind of, and again, this is completely my opinion. I don't listen to me. Don't take advice. Run as far away as you can. Don't just listen. Don't listen to me at all. I'm Joe Blow, nobody. My opinion, I think what we're going to kind of see here, because the way I would experience things in the markets, it used to be that when the equities were down, there was the flight to quality over to the bond market or over to cash, or if it got really bad, they'd go to hard asset like gold and liquid or gold and silver. What I think we'll see here is between now and probably May sometime, based on the technicals again that I've looked at, and maybe I'm an idiot when reading them, so again, don't listen to me. But I think what you'll see is an initial start where if the market starts to correct, it'll take Bitcoin and everything else with it. But at some point, crypto is going to start to peel away, and the market itself will probably, just the traditional equities will crash as the old system is crashing. We'll have the new one as it's coming back up, and it will peel away and then reverse. So that's kind of what that's my opinion, but ultimately you look at the price of what's going on with Bitcoin, with XLM, with XRP, with XDC, with HBAR, and some of these others that are out there that actually have utility. They're involved with everything, and that's one of the big things in crypto. Meme coins are nothing but a tissue paper with a fart in the wind behind an elephant. But you look at, and they can be fun, but that's high risk. I mean, it's no different than going to Vegas and slapping it on black and going, hey.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see a massive shift here, and it's going to be what I've kind of dubbed the great and terrible year here in 2025.
Got it. James, what are your thoughts?
Well, about a week ago, President Trump said April 2nd. So interestingly enough, April 2nd, 1792, the United States had the Coinage Act, and that's when it was established. So the U.S. dollar was created as a standard unit regulating the coinage of the USA, but one has to speculate with the stock market the way it's going. Everybody's thinking that Bitcoin, XRP, all all the Bitcoin world. ISO 20022 is supposed to take off like a rocket, and I think that we're going to see a liberation of the fiat dollar on April 2nd. That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Dave.
We're going to find out here in a hurry. I'm putting my stuff in precious metals, and the crypto obviously is pointing towards the crypto. That was before our conversation the other day. So yeah, I guess April 2nd's what, 9 days away now or so. So
Yeah, there's so much narrative around that April 2nd date. I mean, we know it's the tariffs, but I got to think there's something else going on because there's so much signal being broadcast. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Hey, we have Tam at the Ranch is here. Good morning, Tam at the Ranch. Glad you could make it. Sundog Princess says April 2nd is when they put the blanket tariffs on the rest of the world. Well, we all know that that's going to happen, but I think President Trump has been highlighting April 2nd, calling it Liberation Day, calling it, so many times being referred to in what he's truthing out or other narratives being seeded by other influencers. So again, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think it's, in my opinion, have your seat backs and tray tables in their full and upright position and locked, because I think we're on.
Get an extra case of popcorn while you're at it.
Exactly. So everybody on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. Let's get a bunch more people piled in here. If you are on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, give us the positive affirmation button or the thumbs up, whichever it may be. And if you are on TikTok and you'd like to contribute to our daily goal, we are doing dolphins today. I just thought I'd do something different. We had donuts on our usual Friday morning donut run, but today is dolphins. So if you'd like to jump in there, that would be great. All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit about Johnson & Johnson, another company deciding to jump in and encourage and putting in up to $55 billion in investment into U.S. manufacturing. Now, I think we are looking at now Apple, hundreds of billions, NVIDIA, hundreds of billions, J&J, billions. The country of Japan, 200 billion. I think President Trump said we're up to, I think he said 5 trillion in new investment in America. So, as we spoke about yesterday, even the new gold card or possibly the Trump card, they've sold 1,000 of them already, which is $5 billion. When they get up to, 1,000 of those, we're looking at what, $1 trillion? That's pretty significant in my opinion. Dave, what do you think?
yeah, when you're talking, 1/7 of the yearly budget to take the pressure off us and start knocking down this our bills, that's the key.
Right. Adam?
I find it interesting that Japan's making a massive investment into the country, yet they're also de-dollarizing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was
and
a
selling
massive
treasuries.
telltale sign. Yeah, exactly. So they're investing in the U.S., but they're definitely not stupid by any stretch. They see both sides of that coin that's coming. And I think that was a huge signal to what's to come here. I mean,
and the Japanese banks linking up to the Ripple network.
Oh well, coincidence? I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
James?
With as many countries and entities that are coming on board with Ripple, it's leading up to an exciting time. It's the water is starting to boil, and
Right.
it's going to get hot.
I agree.
Well, there's another point here. You got Johnson & Johnson. They're making a major, massive investment back here in the United States. And with RFK doing what he's doing, what is that signaling where they want to be on the side of history? Are they going to be the first ones to lead off on this whole revamping of what's in our food supply and what's in a lot of our different products, like what we've got with whether it be pharmaceutical stuff, i.e. the stuff on the shelf from baby formula to other things of that nature? Are they going to then kind of capitulate and agree with what RFK's agenda is here for us.
Exactly. Alex?
Well, also not headline news, but Audi is moving production to the United States. They're Audis.
Exactly. Well, from a strict business standpoint, and I have a lot of experience in business, I think that we are looking at CEOs and boards of directors realizing you don't want to pay a tariff to bring it into the United States. And I'm sure the bean counters in the back room are calculating, well, if we stay here in this country or we move to America, and the capitalization cost of moving to America versus the tariffs, I mean, it seems to be a no-brainer in terms of making your manufacturing located in the United States of America. So again, we'll have to see how it plays out. Lisa Maria, one of our subscribers, is here. Oh, sorry, Alex.
I'm just saying it's simple math. I mean, if I produce it in my home country and I bring it to the United States and I make $1, is it even worth making it? Whereas if I make it in America, I can make $10. I mean,
Exactly.
simple math.
Exactly. So Lisa Maria is here, one of our subscribers. Thank you for the heartbeat, Lisa Maria. Kimmer is here. Oh, and she just sent a whole bunch of dolphins. Thank you, Kimmer. Seth King is here. Excuse me, and he sent a hat. Thank you. Oh boy, so we got some trolls in the chat this morning, guys. Linda Lewis is here. Good morning. Go Trump. Yes, ma'am. Oh boy. Well, I gotta watch myself because some of these things move so fast, and all of a sudden I gotta catch myself like, oh no, I don't want to say that one. Christy B just sent a whole bunch of dolphins. You are wonderful, Christy. Thank you so much. So, talking about investments in the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment in the framework in the United States after meeting with President Trump. Just more signal of companies, countries moving in to the United States because they see what the writing on the wall. What do you guys think?
100%. I mean, it's inevitable, right? Again, simple math. You either bring it here and make it, or it's gonna tank your profits with regards to anything that you sell here. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. There will be a pinch on us Americans for a while, but that pinch that we're going to experience is a micro pinch in comparison to the vice that the previous administration was about to squeeze down on all of us.
100%, I agree. 100%. So we have Connie Wenner is here. Good morning, Connor. Connie, excuse me. Charles Steinbeck is here. Good morning, Charles.
I'm thinking that with what we're seeing here, as Trump's been kind of going through the world tour, as it were, kind of help clean up things there. I think there's also been secretly or very quietly a cleanup of our corporations as well that has gone on behind the scenes. I mean, there's certain brands you just don't want to signal to crash. I mean, and I hate to say this one as much as it troubles me, but McDonald's is one. You're going to see Johnson & Johnson's going to be another if it already hasn't started to shift. You're going to see a lot of others that are corporations that, I mean, BlackRock was one that we were even concerned about there for a little while. You're going to see a lot of this stuff that there's strategic moves that have been made behind the scenes saying, hey, look, we can't crash these. And if you've noticed, you drive around and you look at our retail sector anymore. What retail sector?
Right.
It used to be an event at Christmas to go out and shop or during the holidays. It's not that anymore.
Well, and I think for those of us who have been tracking CEO resignations or CEOs leaving their post, we're in the thousands of CEOs. And in terms of BlackRock, Adam, I think BlackRock has been taken over, in my opinion, by the Patriots.
I agree.
As well as, and there was a reason why President Trump and RFK Jr. were eating McDonald's on Trump Force One. The signal was high and wide for a long time about McDonald's. And I think maybe they were saying, look, this is being taken care of. Now, that's just speculation on my part. There's no way to bring receipts on it. But I think when you look at it from a critical thinking standpoint, seems to make sense to me. So we have
bring the Mexican Coke and make it back here in the United States again, please. Bring it back to Atlanta, back to its original formulation.
right.
So I
No
can
more.
enjoy one.
No more high fructose corn syrup. Right.
No.
Right. Hey, so we had Shooter sent a heart me. Toothless 60 sent a bunch of dolphins. Thank you so much. D is here. Good morning, D. Glad you could make it. We have
in other tragic news, at 76 years of age, George Foreman, the professional heavyweight boxer, has passed away. That makes me sad.
Yeah, he was an icon, man. The George Foreman grill. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many versions of that I had over the years.
I mean, that dude stood toe to toe with Muhammad Ali. Like, you know, one of the greats. One of the greats.
100% I agree. 100%. And it's kind of interesting now how professional boxing has kind of morphed into ultimate fighting challenges now. And that's really the crux of where people seem to be focusing their attention. I remember like when Mike Tyson was fighting. Oh my gosh, you guys. My brother, God rest his soul, was such a Mike Tyson fan. And it was an event, you know, whenever there was a Mike Tyson fight, my brother and I'd get together and, you know, we'd have food and people over. And it was, you know, is it going to last 10 seconds or is it going to go 3 rounds? You know, it was never, oh, it's going to go the distance, not with Mike Tyson. And speaking of Mike Tyson, when he fought that gentleman just recently, I am convinced that he hurt him significantly in the first round. And the guy told him, back off because I'm not going to be able to make it. What do you guys think on that one? That's just my theory. Dave?
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. I mean, it was a money-making grab. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It was just a PR stunt, but still good to see him back in the ring.
Yeah. And he's a stud still.
Oh, yeah.
It was, man, listen.
I'm with you, Alex.
As a diehard fan of the man, if you watch any of his training,
Oh, yeah.
going on, he is a freaking animal.
Yeah.
And what we saw in the ring was nothing more than him collecting a paycheck.
Yep.
It was all he could do to not literally pop that little kid's head like a grape.
I completely agree. That's what I kept saying. There's no way that's the real Mike Tyson.
He was like,
No.
I can't.
I know.
Let loose on 2 full swings, he would have been down, and that would have been out, and Jake Paul's career would have been over.
Yeah, and Mike Tyson biting his boxing glove the whole time, like, oh my gosh. Right?
I see him looking at Jake
like that
Paul.
pitch.
I see him.
Go ahead.
I seen him looking at Jake. I seen him looking at Jake Paul's ears like a ribeye. Oh boy!
Stop it.
Very true. Right.
He's like, ooh, I want to bite him. I want to get him.
Hey, Shooter said, was it yesterday that you were speaking with Sidney Brewer, or was that from an earlier sit down? Yeah, he was on our live 2 days ago. Now, if you go to Rumble, X, or YouTube, you can see that whole interview with all of us on my platforms on YouTube, X, and Rumble. And if you're not sure which one is my legitimate account, go to samshalhoub.com. You can click on one of the links on the left, and it'll take you to my page, and you can watch that again. And I've had so many people comment on that Sidney Brewer when Sidney was here. We're going to have to bring him back on again. What do you guys think?
I sent it out to several different people, and they all called me back an hour and 10 minutes later and said that was one of the most crazy, informative things that I've heard, and why it hasn't gotten out sooner.
Right.
Well,
It's been suppressed heavily. I can tell you that right now.
I would agree.
That's awesome. Suppressed is one thing, but the other side of it is reality. A lot of Americans, a lot of people in the world are not ready. That was a master class, right? And that's why I asked him a couple of times. I was like, look, what do people need to do if they just want to start putting their toes in the water to understand this master class that you just put on? It's got to be consumed in smaller portions, because while it was great for us, some of the people I sent it to were like, wait, what? explain this, explain that. What was he talking about here? What was he talking about there? So, we got to, that show was fire. And we've got to continue to put information out to the masses. That's all we can do.
Right, and I guess
I'm glad I wasn't on the video because my jaw would have been sitting on the table. So
Yeah.
I understand why that Sam held that back.
well, and I really really was just trying to give Sydney a place of honor by having him, being up there.
Oh yeah.
That's all. That was all I meant by that, Dave. But
No, I was just
yeah. But I think what Alex just said, which we've talked about so many times on this show, there are different levels of being awake. You have people like us, Anons, who are fully awake. And then you have MAGA normies who are full Trump supporters, but really don't understand all the ins and outs of what's taking place. And then you have normies, people that just don't understand so much of what's going on. And they're trying to seed a narrative to make everybody, to satisfy everyone, but without sending anybody over the edge. And like we've said many times, dropping a frog into a boiling pot of water, they're either going to die or jump out. And I think they're doing a masterful job. And I think it's the military that's doing it. They're doing a masterful job of catering to every level of the awakened at whatever level they are at. And I am convinced that whoever's running these narratives, and I believe it's the Patriots, but I believe that they are watching all of us who are on social media. And there has been many examples of that. And if they are watching today, next time you put out some sort of news, let's talk about a blunt force Anon. If you could put blunt force Anon in one of your narratives, I'll know that you've heard us on this podcast today. Then we'll see what happens. So we have Wendy, thank you for the heart me. We have Wendy sent a bunch of dolphins and some heart me's. Thank you so much, Wendy. So if you're on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. And if you are on TikTok, excuse me, we do have subscriptions available now. We're trying to get to 100. We got some fun things that we're going to do with our subscribers once we hit 100. And if you're on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. And you can send us a message in the chat on one of the other platforms. We'd be happy to answer your questions. All right, guys.
Lee Daniel brings up a point that we covered with Sydney the other day. She said everything is commercial banking and accounting. You are not your name. You're a dead entity. We covered that the other day with Sydney, and he did a very good job of explaining that.
Yes.
And I know that Lee Daniel, she's been on that trail that Sydney's been on for quite some time.
So do I.
Well, and that's the whole straw man. Alex, what was the name of that book? I bought it and I read it and I cannot remember the name of the book.
Meet Your Straw Man.
Yes, a very good book. And it's a very thin, almost a pamphlet.
And there's 3 books. It's one of a 3-book series. You really need to read all 3 books to get start getting your toes dipped in the water.
Yeah.
Another headline for you, Sam. West Virginia and Wyoming join the list of 13 states now that are banning ranked choice voting.
What exactly is ranked choice voting?
So it's the ranking cards. It's not I want this person, I want that person. They do some sort of tabulation and it ranks them, and then you end up with a candidate. It's a pretty convoluted process. Paper ballots, one-day voting. Let's go.
I agree. 100% I agree. And then in terms of, we were talking about the influx of capital into the United States. Now we have Burgum ordered nearly 20 million acres in Alaska open for oil and gas development. Now, when we had the resident Biden in office, how many leases did he shut down? How much did he stranglehold America when it comes to energy production? It was off the charts. We got President Trump in now, and it's drill, baby, drill. And I think this thing in Alaska is just an example of that. What do you guys think?
yeah, how many millions of acres are getting opened up? Let's go.
Exactly.
You know,
It's Lucida Sands going north. There's a lot of untapped territory, and why not?
Exactly.
I can tell you right now that the natural gas fields out here in the east side of Utah, out near Vernal and Colorado border, are just opening up like no other. Because from what we've been told, even by our own governor several times, Utah is the Saudi Arabia of the United States of natural gas. Just on that alone, and the pipelines going out of here is insane.
Right. Right. And now, didn't they open up the pipeline? What was the name of the one up north that Biden shut down? That President Trump.
Anwar?
What's that?
Was the Anwar?
No, the other one.
No. The other one that was.
I'm drawing a blank on it right now.
Yeah, I am too. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Keystone.
There you go. Keystone.
Keystone. He opened that back up first day, didn't he?
I think so. I'd hoping now, but I'm not exactly sure when he did it. But we're talking about not only oil and gas production here in America, but as we've talked about many times, alternate forms of energy. President Trump was in an interview yesterday, and he talked about electricity. And he said, we are going to have so much electricity that we're going to start telling the government to stop producing it. Now, does that mean that petroleum production is going up? Yeah, probably. Does it mean that we have but I think there's something else coming, you guys, something that we've talked about many times. Alex, go ahead.
Bitcoin mining and AI infrastructure, electricity, and lots of it. Data centers are the number one consumer of electricity in the world. We were talking about why Iowa, Des Moines, and places like that Google and Microsoft has come in and put massive data centers there. Well, because they can pay 5 cents, 15 cents per kilowatt hour here in the Midwest versus out in California where it's 35 to 80 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's why Silicon Valley data centers have tanked, and this has been going on, guys, since back in 2008, 9, 10. That's when they started understanding that the cost of power in the Midwest is considerably lower. So why not, one, centralize the data centers in the middle of the country, thus protecting them from coastal issues or other things that might happen, and put them in places where the power is cheap. You end up with a multi-tiered disaster recovery system because, again, your data centers on the coasts are vulnerable in some scenarios. So, but crypto mining and AI is a very large portion of that. I think that's the unspoken truth about what he's doing with power and spinning up more nuclear plants, more coal plants.
Well, and like you brought up yesterday,
4 miles south of me is a brand new Google facility and brand new Meta facility south of me. 4 miles.
Wow.
Going up as we speak.
Well, and like you brought up yesterday, Alex, the Enron egg. I mean, that is a significant development, and what about cold fusion? What about anti-rabitic technology? What about Tesla energy? I mean, and it's not by chance that all of a sudden now there's information coming out about the columns underneath the pyramids that are over 2,000 feet deep. I mean, that is a whole nother rabbit trail that we could go down in terms of energy. What was going on?
How did they do that? How did they do that?
Oh, yeah, they had a lot of slaves but doing it. No way. There was something else going on there. And, again, we got to be careful what we say, but I personally think that it's not a coincidence that information about the pyramids has come out at the exact same time where President Trump is talking about an overabundance of electricity, an overabundance of energy. It's got to be connected at some level. What do you guys think?
Well, deregulation needs to happen. Go back to the 80s when a gentleman with a Fox Body Mustang created a little device that he put on his car, and he was getting 100 miles per gallon. What happened? They came in, they bought the patent, they threw it in the trash, and they moved on because there's no money in it.
Right. Exactly. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the pharmaceutical industry, you guys. in America, it is illegal to patent a naturally occurring substance. You cannot patent vitamin C. You cannot patent folic acid. You cannot patent anything that's naturally occurring. So what do? They take something like garlic. Garlic has the ability to lower blood pressure, but you can't patent garlic or the active ingredient in it. So what do? They take the active ingredient, they change it at the molecular level so that they can patent it. But as soon as they do that, the body recognizes it as toxic, and you have a whole series of side effects that stem from that. So it's the same thing. You can't patent something naturally occurring, so they try to change it. All of that is being changed, I think, because of the Chevron deference. Now, all the bureaucracies, the EPA. Did you also see that they are now disavowing or getting rid of some of the ADA compliance, the American Disabilities Act, which was never meant to be. I mean, you're talking about one guy in Dana Point, California that led that charge 30 years ago. And I think everybody wants to take care of anybody who's disabled. But when you have to put that type of regulation on every building or every facility, you're going to have problems getting things built. What do you guys think?
I agree. It's no different. It's no different than the holistic doctors that they've taken out.
Right.
You know, there's a long list of holistic doctors that have been erased because they're hurting the big farm.
That's
big
right.
Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and on that fact, you guys, I just did an interview with Dr. Peter Glidden. Everybody out there, go and listen to it. Now, he's on TikTok. It's it's Real Dr. Glidden, Real Dr. Glidden. I just posted a short on my account today of him. If you want to watch the full interview, go to my YouTube, Rumble, or X accounts, and you can watch the entire interview with Dr. Glidden. Believe me, you'll be glad that you did. And you're right, James. 1900 is when the Rockefellers took over the medical profession. And we went from a homeopathic nation to an allopathic nation based on the pharmaceutical industry. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But you're absolutely right, James. And talking about that, we had RFK Jr. talking about his intention to eliminate the generally recognized as safe standards. Our FDA was taken over years ago, and they no longer, up until recently, didn't represent the American people. They represented the people that made them the most money, which was the pharmaceutical industry. And that was one of the facts of that is the User Fee Act in 1992, where you had the pharmaceutical industry saying, look, you guys aren't approving drugs fast enough. We need help. So Congress, in all their wisdom, passed the User Fee Act. What was the User Fee Act? It basically said that the pharmaceutical industry could pay $10,000 up front to get their drugs fast-tracked. Well, that has evolved now to where 50% of the FDA, the payroll is being paid by the pharmaceutical industry. It's a perfect example of the wolf watching the hen house, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's absolutely the wolf watching the hen house.
I think it completely is. I mean, you look at that and you look at how, I mean, I think a perfect example to illustrate this was those guys that invented that app. That if they followed the investments of whatever Congress invested in, they made ridiculous sums of money. And I think the pattern of learning the fox and the hen house started back from the Act of 33 and 34. So you look at that, what they've done to the pharmaceutical industry, because here was Rockefeller was the oil king. They needed some other way to make even more profit. And so they started distilling our drugs and medication based off of petroleum.
Right.
So
which is
the oversight here.
Right, which is highly toxic.
Exactly.
Hey, everybody on TikTok, double tap that screen, share this live out. If you can contribute to our Daily Goal of Dolphins, that would be great. If you're on X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, give us the thumbs up or the positive affirmation button. And so as RFK talking about getting rid of this generally recognized as safe standards, I think that's going to lead into a complete disassembling of the FDA and the creation of something that actually represents the American people and the well-being of the American people.
Well,
Alex?
just his presence is getting even schools to take a look at what they're feeding children. He's opened up a big can of worms. I mean, Texas, they passed Texas SB 25, and it was unanimously passed about taking a good look at the ingredients in the food that the kids are eating, and I think that should be nationwide.
Absolutely, and I think that's the direction we're headed. As the FDA gets revamped,
I'm happy to see it. Somebody had started.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that leads back to that hydra that we've been fighting for decades. It's not just the food industry. It is the energy industry. It's the pharmaceutical industry. It's the agriculture industry, right, Dave?
Follow
Yes,
the
very
money.
much so.
Right.
Follow the money. There's no money in people being healthy. So if I treat the symptom, not the cause, then we continue to keep people in that state of perpetual spending on healthcare. We bankrupt the United States on a perpetual system of keeping people sick. They can't work. They're spending all of the money that they are working for on healthcare that isn't covering the medical costs of what they, I mean, it just goes round and round and round and round. Changing subject, something to think about on Wednesday. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be talking to Congress about foreign assassination efforts on 47. So we might want to cover that if you televise it, Sam.
What exactly are they covering?
Intelligence agencies vow to keep Congress updated. So Tulsi Gabbard will have a hearing that will take place next Wednesday with Gabbard, the head of CIA, FBI, National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, will meet with the House of Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence.
Okay.
So we'll see if they televise that.
Yeah, they do. I would love to bring that on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what we've got up next on the hit list. Oh, yeah. So we kind of touched on this earlier, but this gold card that President Trump has initiated, $5 million to allow people from other parts of the world to become American citizens. And yes, they will be vetted. They're not just buying their way in without being vetted. They will be vetted. But we've sold 1,000 of those already at a $5 million each. This is according to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. And that was in a single day. Now we're talking about $5 billion. $5 billion in a single day of added revenue to the United States of America. When President Trump talks about the golden age, this is just one example of what I think he's talking about. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Adam?
I think he's doing 100 different things to make all the money come in. Many cuts, cuts and cutting the fat on getting rid of like the Department of Education, where we know it's a problem and it needs to go back to the states in multiple ways.
Right. James?
Well, you're exactly right. Dave's exactly right. I've taken a personal interest in Doge. And what we don't have going out, we basically have coming in. And there's so much money being discovered. When you talk about the Social Security system and you talk about how many people are dead and how much money we're not paying every month, that's an incredible amount of money.
Well, and it's a perfect example of running a country like a business. You have profits, you have expenses. And where those two meet is where you make money, right? And what cracks me up is the left talking and bitching about, oh, Elon is this and President Trump is that. And I would guarantee you that none of them that are bitching and moaning have ever owned a business or have ever had the foresight to understand you have to have more profits than expenses. I mean, that's just basic business 101, right? Alex, what do you think?
Dave and I can relate to that in the farming industry, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's basic math, folks. It's basic math. I know we switched topics, but I wanted to go back to one thing I forgot to mention. So RFK Jr. on the FDA.gov site has released Chemical Contaminant Transparency Tool. Chemical Contaminants Transparency Tool. And it lists thousands of contaminants. And so, like one that we all know exists, DDT, right? but it tells you that it exists in citrus fruit, cocoa beans, cottonseed, cucumbers, eggplant, and it's telling you the levels that these things are testing at. So, and everybody can go take a look at the things that you love to eat and see what the chemical contaminant transparency tool tells you about where it sits right now in the American food chain.
And that's one example of what RFK Jr. is doing. You know what? Let's do a survey. If you think RFK Jr. is doing a good job, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't think he's doing a good job, put a 2. 1, he's doing a good job. 2, he's not. Let's see what everybody thinks. All right, we've got Sissy Reese, 1. Lisa Maria, a whole bunch of 1s. We have Karen, 1. Sheila, 1. JC, 1. Tamara, 1. Liz, 1. April Burgess, 1. Larry Young, 1. Terry, 1. Gracie, 1. Susan W, 1. User, 2. R. Jeffcoat, a subscriber, 1. Mark Matson, 111. Joy, 1. Shauna T, 1. Eugene Love. Christy B, 1. Chuck Humphrey, 1. Hey, Chuck, glad you could make it. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, the direction that we're going, we are seeing progress. We are seeing some significant foundational changes. But again, I want everybody to understand, President Trump has been in office. What is it? How many days is it now, guys? 60?
Less than 90. Or less than 90.
No, it's got to be just over 60, right?
Yeah.
And
We're coming up on 60.
right.
So
So
figure
So what we're seeing expenditures drop. We're seeing income and profits rise in less than 60 days. I mean, I just don't see how people can't see that and fathom that. 62 days. 62 days. How many billions, if not trillions of dollars have been identified as being fraudulent? Social Security alone. You know, what was it? 3 million people that were over the age of 120? 3 million people. That money is coming back into the coffers. And I would venture to guess that as we move forward in this process, we're going to see that money being clawed back from wherever it was sent. What do you guys think?
You're always going to have that 20% that aren't happy. You're always going to have the people that any change scares the heck out of them, so they'd rather just keep going in the same direction.
Right.
And that's what a lot of these people are doing. I know there's school teachers that I got are like, oh, the Department of Education. I said, just wait.
Right. Yeah. Terry Dykes also, one of our subscribers, said number 1. Yeah, the majority of what's being said in here is number 1. And again, 60 days, and RFK's only been in office, what, a month? I mean, it hasn't been very long.
I think back to Reagan on his early campaign promises when he was running for election for the first time, and he said, you know, it's gonna hurt, but I can fix this. Remember the economic situation we were in the late 70s, early 80s, and he made that statement, and it wasn't, ironically enough, right after he was elected, it wasn't long after he was in office that assassination attempt had happened. And, you know, I think what President Trump has learned from history, from JFK and from Reagan and from all the way back to Washington, and he sees what's going on here, and he knows what's coming. He knows I've got to balance the budget. He knows I've got this massive shift coming in over here. He knows we've got this quote-unquote massive national debt, and if you start just spitballing the numbers on the amount of money that DOJ is finding, the balancing of this budget is not going to be too ugly. It is still going to be a little bit of a pinch, like you say, Alex. And I think what he's doing, what Trump is doing, and I think this is kind of playing in again, but he's padding everything for the American people because he knows that there is going to be a hit here fairly soon, and they've got to be able to absorb it. And
right.
In the current status that everybody's in, they can't. It would be completely devastating. And he's having to work at lightning speed to help cushion that for the American people. And I think that's why he's got this target date of April 2nd, Liberation Day, because I think there's going to be a lot of things that come down the pike. You've got the currency war that's gone on with China. And then you still have the Brunson case that will probably drop a huge major bombshell. And you've got this shift that's going on in the markets. You got people's retirements. He understands all of that. And to look at it from his perspective, he knows which moves to make.
Well, in terms of Lloyd, how do we not know, or how do we know that some of that has already taken place behind the scenes that we're not aware of? You know, all of those flights in and out of Gitmo for how many years, from how many countries? I mean, when you have the Capitol grounds fenced off and it's locked from the inside, what does that tell you? They're keeping people, or they were keeping people in. Now, I know it's speculation, but when you think about it logically and critically, it wouldn't surprise me if some of that's already happened. And as Alex has brought up many times, what's that legislation that if 100 members of Congress are gone virtually overnight, we have to have a piece of legislation in place to make sure that we can have a functioning government? That's not by chance.
Yeah.
Alex, do you want to say something?
RFK was voted in February 13th, so just over a month.
Yeah, exactly. Over a month, and he's already dismantling the FDA.
Transparency is the only way forward. I mean, we've talked about that over and over and over on your show. Transparency is the only way forward.
Right.
Another 11,000 documents going to be dropped on JFK files.
13,700, according to Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, and I mean, for those that are going through it, or those that are following people that are going through it, be careful, because there's people out there making shit up about it. Just gonna put the facts out there.
Right.
But when you really start to look at the reality of the picture that it's painting, and the two sides, the two faces of the coin that was the CIA, that still is the CIA, and how money shifted from what they were calling black ops, you know, covert ops, to USAID funds. And like, it's really, really painting. The JFK is one small piece of this massive picture that it's painting. And I think that deliberately he's putting this information out at the time he's putting it out, so that people can slowly start digesting the reality of what's been going on in the world, not just this country, but in the world for the last 50, 60, 70, 100 years. Transparency is the only way that we fix this. And there's going to be people that you tell them the sky's blue, and they're still going to walk outside, look up, and go, no, it's not. Nothing you can do about that. And
right.
You know, the old adage that you can't argue with a drunk. I mean, does that apply to TDS?
Right, exactly. And as we move forward with this exposure operation, I think it's interesting that the Aliens Invasion Act may or may not have been implemented. I mean, you can make an argument that the Insurrection Act was actually implemented in January of 2020. If that's the case, who's really calling the shots at this point? It's not Congress, at least not in my opinion.
I mean, follow the executive orders. It's all out there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people like us that are going to go sit down and nerd out and go through it and understand it.
Exactly.
Or find it. And if you're not going to nerd out and do it, find somebody that has. Somebody
Right.
that has the receipts.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how important it is to have receipts. People can make claims all day long, but if they can't point you to the receipts, which transparency just puts the book in front of you full of receipts.
Right. Absolutely, I agree. And as we move forward, as we are moving forward, I should say, you're going to have detractors. That's just the way it works. You're going to have those that have TDS that just can't get on the same page. You know, I have a lot of friends on Facebook that are liberal, that are blue, and I'm sure some of them are watching right now. And I don't argue with anybody anymore. It's just not what I do. But it just amazes me the thinking or lack thereof of some of these people attacking Elon, attacking President Trump, when these two individuals are making America healthy again, making America great again, making America wealthy again, making America independent again. How does a person sit and criticize something that's benefiting them in their own lives? What do you guys make of it?
Because they don't see it. They're just blind to it.
Right.
They're still kind of buying into the divide and conquer narrative and the scarcity narrative. If you sit and actually take a breath, sit back, and actually apply some just basic critical thinking, remove your bias of whether you're a red or blue or Democrat or whatever. Just sit back and think for a second. Actually, just go, wait a second. What is this going to do for me? What does this translate into for me as an individual? Because, you know, you can sit and go, well, oh, no, this is what's best for this or this agenda or that's whatever. If you actually sit back and think that, wait a second, maybe you're trying to truly, and from a grassroots fundamental standpoint, unify a country. And like you said earlier, Dave, you're not going to be able, there's a 20% you're never going to get.
Right.
But if you can get 75 or 80% of the people together, you've got a massive movement that's very powerful that will shift the generational degradation, if you will. And you will see that ultimately, at some point, they're going to have to admit going, oh, maybe that was right. Oh, you know, when all of a sudden they realize it on their individual, okay, I'm gonna agree that was okay. Or, oh, my boy in Congress that was whatever, shifting whatever, or who knows. And you're going to see the reality of it all again. I think we're in that final stage of that. I mean, see that you got Congress that is showing its true colors on whose side's on what side of history, if you will. And then you've got what's going to end up happening is you've got Trump's executive orders that they're already laws that are in place.
Right.
He's not making up anything new. He's following by what the breadth of the presidency is and what's his responsibility. He's not just sitting here writing out edicts that, no. There are already laws that have been in place, and some of which for almost 2 centuries now.
Exactly.
Some of which are only 25 years old, and that's all he's doing.
Right. 80 Deuce Jeff, one of our subscribers. Hey, Deuce, glad you're here. He said they are sheep and they're following what they are told. And that's very true. And I think that's part of what we're experiencing here is we are having a global, we're having a global shift, but in America specifically, we're having this awakening, what it's been called the Great Awakening for a reason. People, there's so much information coming out that the average person, and I'm talking about normies and some of the MAGA normies, you know, there's so much, if they knew 10% of the truth, I don't think they'd be able to handle it. I think their cognitive dissonance is so great that if you present something to them that's so far out of their perception or their understanding, they're either going to shut down or they're going to freak out. And I think President Trump, RFK Jr., the cabinet, the military is rolling this out in a way where they're catering to every level of that awakening process. And I think you're absolutely right, Adam. Some of them are never going to get it. I don't think it's going to be as high as 20%. I'm hoping. I mean, there's that other board that talks about 4 to 6% lost forever. That seems like more of a realistic number. But I think we're at 75% of the country already on board with President Trump. A minimum of 75%. What's that, Alex?
That is a week by week, month by month price of eggs.
Can you read it out?
I'm just giving receipts for those that want to argue. So you can see that in February we were up to $8. Where are we at now? $3.
Right.
26 cents.
Right.
Right, which is pre panic prices. Everybody's saying, well, the gas is still high and this is still happening and egg prices aren't going down here. Well, let's break that down into local in Kansas. It may be $3.26. In California, it may still be $7 a carton. But why is that? Like, you've got to look locally and understand. But for those that are saying gas prices are not going down, and those that are saying egg prices aren't going down, go look at the receipts, folks. It's happening.
Right, exactly.
On 3/18, gas prices dropped for 4 weeks in a row.
Right.
4 straight weeks in a row.
And
remember, the president cannot change gas.
And that's bringing the receipts. Exactly.
Jay doesn't make it true.
Jay Hubu just sent
That was awesome.
Jay Hubu just sent a shamrock or some kind of green gift. Thank you, Jay Hubu. And Jay Hubu also sent 5 dolphins. Wow, that's really great. Thanks so much, Jay. So
we're at noon and we're at 38,003. I need everybody watching to please tap the screen and get us to 50,000 likes real quick, because Sam's been practicing his trunk shuffle.
well, I don't know.
If you share the live out on all of your social medias, even if you just take a screenshot highlighting this guy right here, if we get him 250,000 followers, I'm going to pay for his first tattoo. We'll get him an American flag so that he can be in the club with the rest of us.
Yeah, we should make that clear to everybody. So we had this thing come up a few lives ago, and it was talking about me. They asked if I had a tattoo. I said, no, I've never had a tattoo. And now it came up, and Alex made a suggestion. He said, well, if you get to 1 million followers, then you're going to get a tattoo. And I said, you know what? Let's make it even more attainable. If I get to 250,000 followers on TikTok, I will go and get an actual tattoo of the American flag on my shoulder or wherever. And Alex said that he's going to pay for it, and we're going to live stream it. So if everybody wants to share this out, I will get that tattoo at 250,000 followers on TikTok. Huh?
You're dancing, buddy.
I don't know. We're only at 44,000. Well, it's time to wrap it up now, everybody. So, yeah. So.
Oh! All of a sudden now Sam wants to exit stage right.
Exactly.
Like a true actor.
Yeah, exactly. In fact,
Don't get Barbara Streisand syndrome and just be afraid of the stage. Come on, Sam.
well, and I might be posting some things tomorrow. I was invited to a celebrity poker tournament again, and
Nice.
it's going to be tomorrow. I think it starts at 12.
Are you playing or just watching?
Yeah, play it. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that are in the industry, and they, sometimes they'll invite me, and they walk down the red carpet, and I'm over in the shadows, but I get to play. So I'm probably going to do that tomorrow.
Of all the things that have happened, we'll take this one panelist at a time. Since the transition in January, what are you most happy about that you've seen happen, or what are you most optimistic about? Let's just say what has happened. Name one thing that has been the biggest impact on you personally. Because we have some diverse people in diverse parts of the country. We've got farmers, we've got crypto guys, we've got actors in LA. So what's one thing that has happened so far that really has given you some really great feelings about what's going on?
Kimberly said, "It's hard to name just one." Scrap Happy Recycling. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say the same thing. And I'm obviously with the farming, nothing's really moved forward with that yet. But I guess it's about my kids, my future grandkids, that the change, just getting away from the education's moving in the right direction and using our brains, and not like, it seemed like sometimes you're living in bizarro worlds. Like they're talking about stuff. I'm like, how can that even happen?
Right.
Men and women's sports and stuff like that. I go, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So we're moving away from that. That's the main thing. You take care of the core stuff and worry about all these little stuff above. And it'll all fall in place. So.
Scrap Happy Recycling said the transparency. I think that's a good one to bring up. We must have hit 50,000 because there's a lot of people posting a bunch of dancing memes in the chat. Oh, I guess we did. 80 Deuce Jeff, thank you for the. Go ahead.
There was something that I saw poll, and I believe it was ABC, and I have to go back and double check this, but that there was only 7% confidence in the Democratic Party right now. 7% still say that the Democratic Party is doing a good job. 7.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was on posted, I believe, on ABC. I mean, come on, ABC's been pretty left-leaning for a while.
right.
And for them to have to sit there and admit that was like swallowing a massive amount of crow. So I just
Exactly.
wanted to point that out. I'll go back and find that, but I saw that yesterday. I about fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
So-
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
if I was to point one thing out, I'm going to have to say, if I'm going to have to point one thing out, because it's going to be the most inclusive, it's going to be Doge. I mean, Trump took the same play as what the Democrats have done with Soros for decades. Soros has gone in and toppled countries and currencies, and why is he sitting on these boards that are dictating what's going on with our economy? He's not an elected official. He's been an NGO even of himself for decades.
Puppet master.
And now all of a sudden, we have somebody on our side, the majority of the people that are sick and tired of working to the bone and have nothing left, can't even afford to bury their own kin. And they're sitting here now, it's going through, and they're just saying, hey, look, guys, we're just showing you what's going on with the books, economically, with our children, with our health, with everything else.
Right.
Talk about restoration of the real, I know there for a while, the American dream was to own a home. How about we be free in our own country? I think that's the original American dream.
Yeah. Lisa Maria, one of our subscribers, said, say it louder, Dark Horse. Very true.
Yeah.
Our Jeffco just sent a whole bunch of dolphins. Okay, so it looks like we are 20 dolphins away from our goal. If you want to send us a dolphin, that would be great. But it looks like it must be time. Not yet?
Yeah, James.
Well, I'm glad you didn't leave me out of that, Alex. I appreciate it. Both Dave, Dark Horse, you guys hit the nail right on the head. Doge is something that I've taken personally, but really.
Hey, Don the third G just got us to our goal. Thank you, Don. Thank you, our Jeffco. Go ahead, James.
But as I look in all the different facets of life, because I do get around the country in several different ways, whether it be in a semi, whether it be my pickup, or whether it be by aircraft. I see people all over the country. If they don't know about government, people just tend to walk away. I don't want to know about it, and that's what's happening. It's kind of like a movie, everybody's always pro gangster. There's the good and the bad. Well, everybody's rooting for the gangster. Well, when they finally realize that the gangster has taken so much away from us, then they go to the good guy and say, hey, can you help us upright this? And I don't really know the right way to put it, but how can you not root for the direction that we're heading? And I guarantee, like Sam says, can you put a percentage on people that don't know what's going on? I would say it's better than 50%.
Right.
It's probably, like Alex is saying, it's probably higher.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know some of the thievery that was going on. I'm not voting for the gangster, that's for sure. But when you know that it affects your pocketbook, when you can't afford to bury family, and those are the things that are troubling. But if we can upright society and get people to all agree that, yeah, we do need this fixed and we need it fixed fast, I can't say that we have ever had a president that's going and attacking something head on that we have right now.
Agreed.
I'm proud of the man.
Agreed. 100%.
And the people that are disgusted and mad at what's going on, it's because they don't know.
Right. I agree. Ignorance. Absolutely.
Dave posted on X22 yesterday. In 2023, about 28% of United States adults scored at or below level 1 in literacy.
Wow.
I think that gives us a very clear picture and window into why we're in the situation that we're in. People don't critically think. People don't. 80% of the country couldn't tell you what the 3 branches of government are.
Right.
what the Bill of Rights is, what the Constitution is, what the Declaration of Independence is, and what each one of those documents does for us. We've been systematically dumbed down for how many years, right? So my biggest thing that I've seen that I'm most excited about is when you have the President of the United States talking about crypto.
Yep, exactly. Lisa Maria said too many people have TDS. Very true, Lisa Maria. Terry Dykus said, I'm proud to be an American. You and me both, Terry. And Deuce Jeff said, ignorance is bliss to many. I think those are words of wisdom, all three of you. And I agree with you. We are moving, we are transitioning into a place and a time that people are going to be blown away. It's already happening. It's already taking place. So that being said, I guess it's time to dance, right? Is it? All right. Everybody at home, you dance too. Come on now. Alex, Adam, Dave, James. Come on, you guys. Here we go. All right. Ha ha! All right. There we go. All right. The dancing has begun. It has commenced. Oh, that's wonderful.
Sam just threw the golf swing in at the end. Man. You've been practicing.
I've been practicing. I've been watching the videos you sent me.
Gotta get that in your system every day.
Exactly. Well, all right, everybody. So let's wrap it up today. Let's get some final thoughts here. James?
Well, one thing I did want to cover before we ended this, did you happen to know, Sam, the initial Air Force One was called Sam 26,000.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
It was one of the first two Boeing VC-137Cs, and it had your name in front of it.
Well, I'll take it. And, you know, that's another thing, too. Why is it that Air Force One has always been light blue and white, and now President Trump is changing it to red, white, and blue? Think about what other countries have that same light blue and white versus red, white, and blue. And I won't go any further in that, but I think we all know.
We're saving that secret for last.
Exactly. Adam, final thoughts?
I can't wait for them to I actually can't wait for the release of the whole Mars situation.
Yeah.
I had an interesting experience in Park City here about 4 years ago where I ran into a new member of the new Space Force. He'd come out of Florida. And I said, well, what brought you here? And he says, well, I'm part of the crew that's having to build the ships for the public to be able to go to Mars.
Wow.
And that was a rather interesting experience. And he's like, all of a sudden, I think he saw somebody that he's like, I can't talk anymore. But he's out here building the new transports for us to be able to go. So I'm excited to see how that rolls out.
So we have the Mars planet, but we also have Mars, which is military auxiliary radio satellites. Huh. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or EBS? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and I will end with this. I hope that they bring cursive back to our education system because my 15-year-old went to get his learner's permit here a couple months back, and his signature was the same as my 6-year-old's in in kindergarten, which
Yeah.
is pretty sad.
Exactly.
I will leave it at that.
Great. Dave, final thoughts?
Well, James, you guys, here in Iowa, our third grade teacher, my 9-year-old, she's going around the school and teaching cursive by herself. So we got really good educators here in Iowa, and excited to see what happens. Even though today's Saturday and tomorrow's Sunday, we'll still have stuff go on. So keep an eye on the news, and I appreciate everybody here. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Dave. Alex?
I'm gonna do something real special for final thoughts here today, guys.
Okay.
And we're 1 second here. Hearing an echo. We're gonna ask Mom. Mom watched her first show today.
Oh, wonderful.
Would you like to give anybody your final thoughts for the show today?
Hi.
At last, we've got some people that are listening and paying attention and believing that it's going to all come true. It's going to be all right.
Oh, wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you so much for being part of our show today.
Thank
We're
you.
praying for you.
Wish you nothing but the best. Oh, what a way to end it. There's not much more for me to say there other than thank you, everybody. Thank you for being part of this. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. Thank you to Alex and, of course, to Alex's mom. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend, guys, and we'll all see you on Monday.